You are describing soldiers who can fight in contaminated environments, carry heavy loads over long distances. The next morning, Hannah returned to the council chamber. The atmosphere had changed completely. No more tension. No more fear. Instead, there was curiosity and respect. Council members greeted her as she entered. Some nodded. Others made gestures that she had learned were signs of respect in their cultures. Director Velm's colors were a calm green with streaks of gold. Captain Kim, welcome back. The Council has prepared specific questions today. We want to understand not just your weapons, but your entire approach to warfare and defense. I am ready to answer, Director, Hannah said. Thrix was already near the platform. He had brought several of his own military advisors with him. They were smaller Vrelians, but still impressive with their armored shells and multiple arms. Captain, my advisors have been reviewing the recordings from yesterday's demonstration. They have questions about ammunition types, firing rates, and maintenance requirements. I will answer everything I can. Hannah said. Drell approached as well, his arms covered in even more recording devices than yesterday. Captain Kim, I have spent the entire night analyzing the data. I have developed several theories about human warfare that I would like you to confirm or correct. Yuna joined Hannah on the platform. She carried several cases of additional equipment. Director Velm, with your permission, Captain Kim and I have prepared a more comprehensive demonstration today. Yesterday we showed basic weapons. Today we can show tactics, techniques, and procedures. Please proceed, Velm said. Hannah opened the first case. Inside were different types of ammunition. She held up various rounds for the Council to see. Yesterday I fired standard full metal jacket rounds. These are used for training and basic combat. But we have many other types of ammunition for different situations. She held up a different bullet. This is an armor-piercing round. The core is made of hardened steel or tungsten. It can penetrate most types of armor. Another round. This is a hollow point round. It expands when it hits a target, creating larger wound channels. We use it in situations where we need to stop a threat immediately. Yuna displayed technical data for each ammunition type. This is an incendiary round. It contains a small amount of phosphorus that ignites on impact. This is a tracer round with a pyrotechnic compound that burns bright during flight, allowing shooters to see where their bullets are going, especially at night. And this, Hannah said, holding up a much larger round, is a 50 caliber anti-materiel round. It is 12.7 millimeters in diameter and weighs 42 grams. It can disable vehicles, penetrate fortified positions, and destroy equipment from over 1 kilometer away. She placed all the ammunition types on the platform. The important point is that human weapons are modular and adaptable. The same rifle can fire different types of ammunition for different missions. This flexibility is a key part of our military doctrine. One of Thrix's advisors spoke up. Captain, how many different types of ammunition exist for your standard rifle? For the most common rifle calibers, there are probably 50 to 100 different types available, Hannah said, each optimized for different purposes. The advisor made a gesture that indicated shock. 50 to 100 types? For one weapon system? Yes, and that is just commercial and military production. Some specialized units create their own custom ammunition for specific missions. Drell was typing frantically on his devices. The logistics of this are remarkable. You maintain supply chains for dozens of ammunition types. You train soldiers to understand which type to use in which situation. You design weapons that can reliably fire all these different types. This level of complexity is necessary, Hannah finished. On Earth, we fight in deserts, jungles, mountains, urban environments, underwater, in Arctic conditions, and in many other settings. Each environment requires different equipment and tactics. We had to develop flexible systems that work everywhere. She opened the second case. Inside was something that made several council members lean back in alarm. This is a grenade launcher. It attaches to the bottom of a rifle. It can fire explosive grenades up to 400 meters. Yuna brought up the specifications. The grenades contain high explosives and can be set to detonate on impact or after a specific time delay. They are designed to destroy bunkers, clear rooms, and defeat enemy positions that are protected by cover. Each infantry squad typically has 1 or 2 soldiers equipped with grenade launchers, Hannah continued. This gives the squad the ability to engage targets that are behind cover or at distances where rifles are less effective. The Nether merchant was making calculations again. Captain Kim, let me understand this correctly. A single human infantry squad consists of how many soldiers? Typically 9 to 13 soldiers, depending on the military organization, Hannah said. And in that squad, you have soldiers with rifles, soldiers with grenade launchers, and what else? Usually 1 or 2 soldiers with automatic weapons for suppressive fire. 1 soldier with a designated marksman rifle for precision shooting at medium ranges. Everyone carries grenades. Some soldiers carry anti-tank weapons if vehicle threats are expected. Anti-tank weapons? The Nether looked confused. You have portable weapons that can destroy armored vehicles? Hannah opened the 3rd case. Inside was a long tube with a sight and trigger mechanism. This is a portable anti-tank rocket launcher. It fires a shaped charge warhead that can penetrate up to 700 millimeters of armor. It weighs 7 kilograms and can be carried and operated by a single soldier. The council was quiet. Hannah could see them doing mental calculations. A 13-person squad carrying rifles, grenade launchers, automatic weapons, grenades, and anti-tank weapons. The amount of destructive power was staggering. Captain, a Solmic delegate said slowly, we are beginning to understand that you have designed your military forces for maximum lethality with minimum personnel. Is this intentional? Yes, Ambassador Kang said from the observation deck. Human military doctrine emphasizes small, flexible, highly lethal units. We learned from thousands of years of warfare that quality is often more important than quantity. Better to have 100 well-trained, well-equipped soldiers than 1,000 poorly trained, poorly equipped soldiers. Thrix nodded in agreement. This is sound doctrine. The Vrelian military follows similar principles. But I must admit, human equipment gives your soldiers capabilities that exceed ours despite your smaller physical size and lower strength. Which brings me to my next demonstration, Hannah said. Yesterday I mentioned that humans train to fight in close combat. Physical combat without weapons. Director Velm, may I have a volunteer from the security forces? Velm's colors shifted to questioning purple. For what purpose? I would like to demonstrate human close combat techniques. I promise not to injure anyone. I only need a volunteer to work with me so the council can see how we train. After a brief discussion, one of the security drones descended to the platform. It was a large mechanical unit, roughly humanoid in shape, but clearly artificial. Will this suffice? Velm asked. Perfect, Hannah said. She handed her rifle to Yuna and stepped away from the weapons. She stood facing the security drone in a relaxed but ready stance. Human close combat training includes striking techniques using hands, elbows, knees, and feet. It includes grappling techniques for controlling an opponent. And it includes weapons techniques using knives, batons, or improvised weapons. The drone activated and moved toward her slowly. Hannah demonstrated a series of movements, blocks, strikes, kicks, and takedowns. She moved with speed and precision, showing techniques that could disable an opponent quickly. Drell watched intently. Captain, these movements are very efficient. Minimal wasted motion. Every technique targets vulnerable areas. That is correct. Human close combat systems have been refined over centuries. We study anatomy to understand where to strike for maximum effect. We practice thousands of repetitions until the movements become instinctive. She stepped back from the drone. But the most important part of close combat training is mental. We train to remain calm under pressure. We train to assess threats quickly. We train to make instant decisions about when to fight and when to retreat. Thrix stood up. Captain Kim, may I make a request? Of course, War Chief. I would like to see a human soldier equipped for different mission types. Can you show us how equipment changes based on the mission? Hannah smiled. Lieutenant Yuna and I prepared for that question. Yuna activated a holographic display showing human soldiers in different configurations. This is a soldier equipped for urban combat, light armor for mobility, short-range weapons, breaching tools for entering buildings, communication equipment for coordinating with the team. The image changed. This is a soldier equipped for jungle operations, machete for clearing vegetation, insect repellent, water purification equipment, lightweight clothing for hot, humid environments. Another change. Arctic operations, heavy insulated clothing, weapons modified to operate in extreme cold, snowshoes or skis for movement, specialized lubricants that don't freeze. The images continued. Desert operations, mountain operations, underwater operations, airborne operations. Each configuration showed different equipment optimized for different environments. The key pry. The council chamber was different when the members returned. The emergency lights had been switched off. Normal white illumination filled the space again, but the atmosphere remained tense. Hannah could feel it. The way the council members looked at her had changed. No more mockery. No more casual dismissal. Now they looked at her the way prey animals look at predators. Director Velm floated to her position near the ceiling. Her colors were still that deep contemplative blue. Captain Kim, the council has spent the last hour reviewing Earth's historical records. We have studied your wars, your weapons development, your military doctrines. We need to understand more. I will answer any questions you have, Director, Hannah said. Drell was the first to speak. He had spent the break frantically analyzing data. His recording devices covered both his arms now, blinking with different colored lights. Captain Kim, I have calculated the total destructive potential of the weapons you showed us. A single human soldier, carrying what you call standard equipment, possesses more lethal capability than a typical Quiller combat squad of 20 beings. The Quiller delegate made a sound of distress. And that is just the weapons you showed us, Drell continued. You mentioned other equipment, shotguns, sniper rifles, anti-materiel weapons. Can you explain these? Hannah nodded. She had repacked everything during the break, but now she opened her bag again. A shotgun is a close-range weapon. Instead of firing a single bullet, it fires multiple projectiles called pellets. 8 to 9 pellets per shot, spreading in a cone pattern. Very effective in confined spaces like buildings or starship corridors. Yuna brought up a holographic demonstration. The pellet spread pattern appeared in the air, showing how the projectiles would hit multiple targets or ensure hits on a moving target. Sniper rifles are designed for long-range precision shooting, Hannah continued. They use larger caliber rounds and advanced optics. A skilled sniper can hit a target from over 1 kilometer away. In some cases, much farther. The current record for a confirmed kill is over 3 kilometers. Several council members made sounds that the translation system could not process. And anti-materiel weapons, Hannah said, are designed to destroy vehicles, equipment, and fortified positions. They fire very large bullets, typically 12.7 millimeters or 14.5 millimeters in diameter. These rounds can penetrate armored vehicles and destroy equipment from great distances. Thrix leaned forward. Captain, when you say armored vehicles, what level of armor are we discussing? Military-grade steel armor up to 30 millimeters thick. Some specialized rounds can penetrate even more, and human soldiers carry these weapons regularly. Not all soldiers, but they are common enough that most units have access to them. A typical infantry company of 100 soldiers might have 2 or 3 sniper rifles and 1 or 2 anti-materiel rifles. The Nether merchant spoke up again. Captain Kim, I am trying to understand the economics of this. Your weapons are simple in design, but clearly effective. They must be relatively inexpensive to produce? Compared to energy weapons, yes, Hannah said. A basic rifle costs about 1,000 Earth dollars to manufacture. Ammunition is even cheaper. A single bullet costs less than $1 in most cases. $1, the Nethier repeated. He was doing calculations. And how many bullets does a soldier carry? Typically 180 to 210 rounds. 7 magazines of 30 rounds each. The Nethir's expression changed. Hannah had learned enough about galactic body language to recognize shock. You are telling me that for less than $200, a human soldier can carry enough ammunition to potentially kill 200 targets? If every shot hits, yes. In reality, combat accuracy is lower. But the principle is correct. The Nethir paused, searching for words. This is terrifyingly economical warfare. A Solmic delegate who had remained quiet until now finally spoke. Captain, we have heard about your weapons. But what about defense? What protection do human soldiers have? Body armor, Hannah said. She gestured to her own chest, where she wore a tactical vest. This vest contains ceramic plates that can stop most rifle rounds. It weighs about 7 kilograms. It will not stop everything, but it provides protection for vital organs. Only vital organs? The Solmic asked. Full body armor would be too heavy for soldiers to move effectively. We prioritize mobility over complete protection. A soldier who can move quickly and fight effectively is harder to kill than a soldier who is fully armored but slow. Drell was making more notes. This fits with what I am learning about human military doctrine. You accept casualties as inevitable. You prioritize offensive capability over defensive capability. You train your soldiers to operate in conditions that would incapacitate most other species. That is accurate, Ambassador Kang said from the observation deck. Human military thinking is based on thousands of years of warfare. We learn that the best defense is often a strong offense. We learn that soldiers need to be adaptable, tough, and self-reliant. Director Velm's colors shifted to purple, her questioning color. Captain Kim, I want to return to something you mentioned during the first part of your demonstration. You said the alarms were triggered by your medical supplies and water purification equipment. You said that human soldiers operate routinely in environments with chemical contamination, biological hazards, and radiation. Can you elaborate on this? Hannah pulled out the smaller pouches from her bag's outer pockets. This is a standard individual first aid kit. It contains bandages, antiseptic wipes, blood clotting powder, tourniquets for stopping severe bleeding, painkillers, antibiotics, and treatment for burns, puncture wounds, and shrapnel injuries. She held up a small package. These are radiation treatment tablets. They contain potassium iodide, which protects the thyroid gland from radioactive iodine. Every soldier carries them because nuclear, radiological, and dirty bomb attacks are considered possible in any major conflict. Yuna displayed medical statistics. In Earth's most recent major conflicts, approximately 15% of casualties were from causes other than direct combat. Disease, infection, environmental exposure, and contaminated resources killed or incapacitated thousands of soldiers. This is why every soldier carries extensive medical and survival equipment. The Quiller delegate raised one of her appendages. Captain Kim, on our world, if a region becomes contaminated with radiation or biological agents, we evacuate it. We do not send soldiers to operate there. The risk is too great. On Earth, we cannot always evacuate, Hannah said. Sometimes the contaminated area is strategically important. Sometimes the contamination is the result of combat and we must continue fighting in it. So we developed equipment and training to allow soldiers to operate in these environments. She pulled out another item. This is a gas mask. It filters air to remove chemical agents, biological particles, and radioactive dust. It connects to this suit. She held up a sealed package. This is a chemical protection suit. When worn with the mask, it provides protection in contaminated environments for up to 6 hours. Thrick stood and walked closer to the platform. Captain, I need to understand something. Your soldiers carry weapons, ammunition, armor, medical supplies, water purification equipment, protective gear against chemical and biological attack, radiation treatment supplies, and explosive charges. How much does all of this weigh? My current loadout is 32 kilograms, Hannah said. 32 kilograms, Thrix repeated. In your higher gravity, that would be ... He calculated. That would be equivalent to 48 kilograms in standard galactic gravity. And you can fight effectively while carrying this weight? Yes, human soldiers train to carry these loads over long distances. 20-kilometer marches are common in training. Combat operations can require soldiers to carry this equipment for days. Drell's fur was rippling again. Captain, I must ask an uncomfortable question. You mentioned that humans evolved as pursuit predators. This means you hunted prey by chasing them until they collapsed from exhaustion, correct? That is one hunting method our ancestors used, yes. And this endurance, this ability to carry heavy loads over long distances, this is a trait that remains in modern humans. Yes, human endurance is exceptional compared to most species. We can run for hours. We can march for days. We can fight in conditions that would exhaust others. The chamber was quiet. Hannah could see the council members processing this information. They were beginning to understand that human military capability was not just about weapons. It was about the entire package, the weapons, the equipment, the training, and most importantly, the human body itself. A small species that Hannah did not recognize spoke in a high, whistling voice. The translator rendered it as, "Captain Kim, are humans ever afraid?" It was such an unexpected question that Hannah paused before answering. Yes, we feel fear. Fear is a natural survival response. But we train to function despite fear. We have a saying on Earth. Courage is not the absence of fear, but action in spite of fear. And pain? The small being asked. Can humans function through pain? To a degree, yes. Our medical training includes pain management techniques. Our chemical supplies include painkillers. And our mental training helps us maintain focus even when injured. Thrick spoke quietly. Director Velm ordered the alarms to stop. The red lights remained, but the screaming sirens finally went silent. The security drones stayed in position, weapons still aimed at Hannah and her bag. Nobody moved. The entire council chamber felt frozen in time. Hannah kept her hands visible and away from her body. She had been trained for situations like this. Rule 1, don't make sudden movements. Rule 2, explain clearly and calmly. Rule 3, never show fear. Director, members of the council, Hannah began. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber. The outer pocket of my bag contained standard field medical supplies. These are items every human soldier carries. The biological sensors detected the antiseptics, antibiotics, and coagulants. The chemical sensors found the painkillers and radiation treatment tablets. Lieutenant Yuna activated a holographic display from the observation deck. A three-dimensional image of Hannah's bag appeared in the air above the platform. Different sections lit up in different colors as Yuna spoke. This side compartment holds water purification equipment, chlorine compounds, iodine solutions, and chemical testing papers. These allow soldiers to make contaminated water safe to drink. Your sensors identified them as chemical warfare agents, Hannah continued. But they are defensive tools, not weapons. A member of the Pelther delegation stood up. The Pelther were mammalian beings covered in soft fur. They were known throughout the Federation as scientists and researchers. This particular Pelther wore multiple devices on his arms and chest, constantly recording and analyzing data. His name was Drell, and he was considered one of the finest minds in the galaxy. Captain Kim, Drell said. His voice was high and quick, like he was excited and terrified at the same time. Are you telling us that human soldiers routinely operate in environments where the water is not safe to drink? Yes, Hannah said simply. Drell's fur rippled, a sign of distress among his species. And the radiation treatment tablets? You mentioned radiation? The main compartment has a lining made of lead-weave fabric, Yuna explained. The hologram highlighted the bag's interior. This shielding protects the soldier from radioactive contamination. The calibration strips inside verify that the shielding is working properly. Your sensors detected those strips? War Chief Thrix uncrossed his upper two arms. His lower arms remained crossed, but his posture had changed. He was no longer laughing. You send your soldiers into radioactive zones? Regularly, Hannah confirmed. Nuclear, chemical, and biological contamination are common battlefield conditions on Earth. Every soldier trains to operate in these environments. The council members began talking among themselves. The translator devices struggled to keep up with dozens of different languages all speaking at once. Hannah heard words like impossible and insane and death world, repeated in various forms. Drell was frantically making calculations on a device he held. Captain Kim, I have reviewed Earth's classification in our database. Your planet is rated as a level 12 hostile environment. That is one of the highest danger ratings we have. The atmospheric oxygen levels alone would be toxic to most species here. We find it comfortable, Hannah said. Comfortable, Drell repeated the word like he couldn't believe it. Your gravity is 1.5 times galactic standard. Your weather includes frozen precipitation that falls from the sky, electrical storms with enough power to kill, wind speeds that exceed 200 kilometers per hour. He looked up from his device. And you evolved there? You adapted to consider this normal. Hannah nodded. That is correct. Director Velm's colors had shifted to a dark blue, which Hannah's briefing material said meant deep thinking. Captain Kim, the sensors also detected explosive compounds and incendiary materials. You said the medical supplies and water purification equipment triggered the alarms. What else is in that bag? The explosive signatures come from standard combat engineering supplies, Hannah explained. Blasting caps, detonation cord, breaching charges, and incendiary devices. These are tools for opening locked doors, clearing obstacles, and destroying enemy equipment. Thrix leaned forward in his seat. You carry explosives as routine equipment? Yes, War Chief. Most human soldiers carry some explosive materials. Combat engineers carry more. Yuna brought up another hologram. This one showed a comparison chart. This display shows the standard loadout for an Earth infantry soldier compared to equivalent forces from other Federation species. The numbers appeared in the air. The Vrelian infantry carried energy weapons and impact armor. The Solmic warriors used plasma weapons and shield generators. The Quiller, being peaceful, had defensive equipment only, but the column showing human equipment kept growing longer and longer. This is impossible, a Solmic delegate hissed. No soldier could carry this much equipment and still fight effectively. Human soldiers carry between 20 and 50 kilograms of equipment on standard missions, Yuna said. Special operations teams carry more. Drell was making more calculations. That weight in your higher gravity, the strength required. He looked at Hannah with what might have been respect or fear. Captain Kim, how much of that weight is armor? About 40%, Hannah said. The rest is weapons, ammunition, communications, equipment, food, water, medical supplies, and mission-specific gear. 40%, Drell repeated. He turned to address the council. Members, I believe we have made a significant error. We assumed human military equipment would be primitive because their energy weapons technology is less advanced than ours. But they have optimized for a completely different combat doctrine. Director Velm spoke again. Captain Kim, you have explained the medical supplies, the water purification equipment, and the explosive materials. The sensors detected all of these things before you even opened your bag. What I want to know is what are the actual weapons? Hannah glanced up at Ambassador Kang. He was standing at the observation deck railing, watching everything carefully. He gave her a small nod. Permission to proceed. Director, with your permission, I would like to open the bag now, Hannah said. I will move slowly. I will explain each item as I remove it. I need the security drones to lower their weapons. I promise I am not a threat to anyone in this chamber. Velm's colors shifted through several shades. Finally, she settled on green, which meant cautious agreement. Very well. Security drones, reduce alert status, but remain ready. She turned her attention back to Hannah. Captain, you may proceed. But if our sensors detect any aggressive action, the shields will activate instantly. Understood, Hannah said. She knelt beside her bag. Her movements were slow and deliberate. Every council member watched. The chamber was so quiet that Hannah could hear her own breathing. She could hear the soft hum of the force fields. She could even hear the clicking of Drell's recording devices. Hannah's hand touched the main zipper. She pulled it open slowly. The sound seemed incredibly loud in the silent chamber. Inside the bag, secured in custom holders and wrapped in protective cloth, were the weapons Earth had sent to show the galaxy. Hannah had trained with every single one of them. She had fired thousands of rounds. She had practiced until the weapons felt like extensions of her own body. She reached inside and pulled out the first item. It was wrapped in dark cloth. She set it on the platform in front of her and slowly unwrapped it. The combat knife gleamed under the chamber's lights. 30 centimeters of folded carbon steel with a black handle. Simple, ancient, deadly. Hannah held it up for the council to see. This is a standard combat knife. Every human soldier carries one. It requires no power source. It will work in any environment, underwater, in vacuum, in extreme heat or cold. It will never jam, never run out of ammunition, and never fail. Thrix stared at the blade. You fight with blades? In close combat? Physical contact with the enemy? When necessary, Hannah said. Our military doctrine includes extensive hand-to-hand combat training. She set the knife down and reached into the bag again. The next weapon was heavier. She pulled it out and held it in both hands. This is a standard infantry sidearm, Hannah said. We call it a pistol. It fires solid metal projectiles using controlled chemical explosions. This magazine holds 15 rounds. The effective range is about 50 meters, but a skilled shooter can hit targets much farther away. The council members leaned forward to see better. The weapon looked primitive to them. No glowing energy cells. No exotic materials. Just black metal and polymer construction. Drell spoke up. Captain Kim, did you say the projectiles are solid metal? Not energy? Not plasma? Correct. Solid metal slugs, usually made of lead or copper, and they are propelled by chemical explosions? Inside the weapon itself? Yes, each bullet contains a small amount of gunpowder. When I pull the trigger, a firing pin strikes the bullet's primer. This ignites the gunpowder, which explodes and drives the metal slug down the barrel at high speed. Drell's fur was standing on end now. You are creating controlled explosions inches from your face. Repeatedly, the heat, the pressure, the recoil force. We trained to manage it, Hannah said. She set the pistol down next to the knife. Then she reached into the bag one more time. What she pulled out was longer, heavier, and far more intimidating. This is our primary infantry weapon, Hannah said. An assault rifle. The weapon was black metal and composite materials. A long barrel, a magazine well, a stock to brace against the shoulder. It looked brutal and efficient. No decoration. No, the automated warning system screamed through the council chamber again. Different alarms this time, higher pitched and more urgent. The red emergency lights pulsed faster. More blast doors slammed shut with heavy thuds that shook the floor. Projectiles penetrated level 4 shielding, the station's AI announced. Kinetic barriers ineffective against solid matter attack. Recalibrating defensive systems, warning. Unknown weapon type, warning, conventional shields. Compromised. Hannah lowered her rifle and engaged the safety. She had expected the alarms, but she still felt her heart racing. Training helped keep her calm, but standing in a room full of panicking aliens while alarms screamed was not easy. The council was in chaos again. The Solmic delegates had not returned to their seats after the first alarm. Now they pressed themselves against the back wall, as far from Hannah as possible. The Quiller were releasing more of their fear scent. The smell was so strong that Hannah's eyes watered even more. Several council members were shouting at Director Velm in their own languages. The translation system was overwhelmed. Hannah caught fragments in English. Dilated safety protocols. Unacceptable danger. Remove the human immediately. Thrix remained near the platform edge. He had not moved when the rifle fired. He had not flinched at the sound. Now he stood perfectly still, staring at the target dummy with its 3 clean holes. His shell plates were still flared defensively, but his posture had changed. He looked like a warrior recognizing another warrior. Drell was the only council member who approached closer. He pulled out a handheld scanner and pointed it at the target dummy. His fur rippled constantly as he read the results. He made small sounds of distress or amazement. Hannah couldn't tell which. "Impossible," Drell whispered. "Completely impossible." Director Velm finally got the alarms to stop again. Her crystalline form was flashing so many colors that Hannah lost track. Red, orange, yellow, purple, green, all cycling rapidly. She was clearly experiencing every negative emotion her species could feel. "Captain Kim," Velm's voice was controlled, but barely. "Your projectiles penetrated shielding that is designed to stop plasma weapons." "Energy weapons? Directed radiation? How is this possible?" "Director, may I explain?" Drell spoke up. He was still scanning the target dummy. "I believe I understand what happened." "Please do," Velm said. Drell turned to face the council. His fur had finally stopped rippling. Now he just looked tired and scared. "Members of the council, our defensive shields are designed to stop energy-based attacks. They create electromagnetic barriers that absorb or deflect plasma, lasers, and particle beams. This technology is the foundation of modern warfare across the Federation." He gestured at the target dummy. "But Captain Kim's weapon does not fire energy. It fires solid matter, physical projectiles. Our shields are not designed to stop solid objects moving at high velocity. They pass through the energy barriers as if they were not there at all." The council chamber fell silent. Hannah could see understanding spreading across the faces of those species whose expressions she could read. "You mean to tell me," a Solmic delegate said slowly, "that while we advanced our weapons technology to energy-based systems, humans continued to develop kinetic weapons? And by doing so, they accidentally created weapons that our shields cannot stop." "It was not an accident," Ambassador Kang spoke from the observation deck. His voice carried clearly through the chamber. "We developed kinetic weapons because they work in any environment. No power cells to run out. No energy signatures to detect. No shields to block them. On Earth, we learned that the simplest solution is often the best solution." Thrix turned to look at the target dummy again. "What are those projectiles made of?" "This rifle fires a 7.62 millimeter copper-jacketed lead bullet," Hannah explained. "The bullet weighs about 10 grams and travels at approximately 800 meters per second. When it impacts a target, it transfers all its kinetic energy instantly." Drell did rapid calculations on his device. 800 meters per second. That is more than twice the speed of sound in Earth's atmosphere. The kinetic energy of each projectile. He stopped and looked at Hannah. "Captain, these numbers suggest that a single bullet carries enough energy to kill most beings in this chamber instantly." "Yes," Hannah said simply. "And you fired 3 in less than 2 seconds, yes. And you can fire 600 per minute in automatic mode." "Yes." Drell sat down on the floor. His legs seemed unable to hold him up anymore. "We have made a terrible mistake." Hannah lowered her rifle completely. She kept it pointed at the ground, away from everyone. "Permission to continue the demonstration?" Director Velm's colors had settled into a dull gray that Hannah's briefing materials did not cover. "Captain Kim, I think the Council has seen enough. With respect, Director, I have only shown you one weapon. You asked for a standard infantry demonstration. I have not yet shown you the grenades, the shotgun, the sniper rifle, or the anti-materiel equipment." Several council members made sounds of alarm. The Quiller started releasing fear scent again. One of the Solmec delegates fainted. "Grenades?" Thrix asked. His voice was very quiet. Hannah reached into her bag and pulled out a small gray cylinder. It was smaller than her fist, unremarkable looking. She held it up for everyone to see. "This is an M67 fragmentation grenade," Hannah said. "It weighs 400 grams. Inside is 55 grams of explosive composition. The explosive is surrounded by a steel casing that is pre-scored to break into hundreds of fragments. Yuna brought up technical specifications in the hologram. When detonated, the grenade produces a lethal radius of 15 meters. The casualty radius extends to 30 meters. The steel fragments travel at supersonic speed in all directions. To use it, Hannah continued, I pull this pin, release this safety lever, and throw the grenade toward the target. After 3 seconds, it explodes automatically. No remote control needed. No power source needed. Just chemistry and physics? She set the grenade down gently on the platform next to her other weapons. We issue these to private soldiers, the lowest rank in our military. Most of them are teenagers between 18 and 22 years old. Each soldier carries 3 to 5 grenades on standard patrol. The council stared at the small gray cylinder. Such a simple thing. So small. So deadly, you give these to children? The Quiller delegate's voice was barely a whisper. We give them to trained soldiers, Hannah corrected. But yes, many of our soldiers are young. On Earth we have a saying, old age and treachery will always overcome youth and skill. But youth and skill with proper training is a formidable combination. Thrix moved closer to the platform. The security drones tracked his movement but did not interfere. He stopped at the edge and looked down at the small collection of weapons Hannah had displayed. The knife, the pistol, the rifle, the grenade. Such simple things. No glowing energy cells. No exotic materials. Just metal, wood, plastic, and explosives. Captain Kim, Thrix said slowly, I have led Vrelian forces in 12 system conflicts. I have fought against 6 different species. I have seen energy weapons that can melt through starship hulls. I have commanded soldiers wearing powered armor that enhances their strength 10 times. He paused. But I have never seen anything as terrifying as what you have shown us today. Why? Hannah asked. Your weapons are more powerful than mine. Power is not the same as lethality, Thrix said. My energy weapons require power cells that can run out. They have sophisticated targeting systems that can malfunction. They produce heat signatures that can be detected from great distances. Your weapons... He gestured at the items on the platform. Your weapons are simple, reliable, impossible to detect until they are used. And they bypass every defensive system we have developed. He looked directly at Hannah. But that is not what terrifies me. What terrifies me is that you evolved on a world so dangerous that you needed to develop these weapons just to survive. Not to fight other species. To fight each other. Hannah said nothing. There was nothing to say. He was right. Drell had recovered enough to stand up. He approached the platform carefully, like he was approaching a dangerous animal. Captain Kim, I must ask you a question, and I need you to answer honestly. I will answer any question I can, Hannah said. These weapons you have shown us? This knife, this pistol, this rifle, this grenade. You said this is standard infantry equipment. Basic gear that your ordinary soldiers carry. Drell's voice shook slightly. What do your specialized soldiers carry? Your elite forces? Your military specialists? Hannah was quiet for a moment. She looked up at Ambassador Kong again. He nodded once more. The council asked for a standard demonstration, Hannah said carefully. What I have shown you is what a basic infantry soldier carries. Our specialized units use different equipment depending on their role, such as Velmast. Snipers carry precision rifles with effective ranges exceeding 1 kilometer. They use specialized ammunition that can defeat most types of armor. Combat divers operate underwater with weapons designed for aquatic environments. Paratroopers drop from aircraft and carry lighter weapons for mobility. Mechanized infantry operate with vehicles and heavy weapons. She paused. And then there are the Special Operations Forces. Tell us about them, Thrix said. Special Operations soldiers are trained for years. Captain Hannah Kim walked through the massive corridor of Station Velix. Her boots made soft sounds against the metal floor. Around her, beings from dozens of different worlds moved about their business. Some walked on 2 legs like her. Others floated. A few crawled along the walls with multiple limbs. She had been in space for 3 months now, but the sight still amazed her. The station orbited a star in neutral space. No single species controlled this area. That made it perfect for meetings between different governments. The Galactic Federation had built Station Velix 200 years ago. It was a place where peace was the only rule. Hannah adjusted the strap of her black tactical bag. The bag felt heavy on her shoulder, but she had carried heavier things during her military training. Inside the bag was everything she needed for today's demonstration. She hoped the council members would understand. She hoped they wouldn't panic. Ambassador Kong walked beside her. He was a tall man in his 50s with gray hair and worry lines on his face. He had been Earth's representative to the Federation since humans first made contact with alien life. The last 3 months had been stressful for him. Many species in the Federation did not trust humans yet. "Are you ready for this?" Kong asked her quietly. Hannah nodded. "Yes, sir. I have everything they asked for." "They don't know what they're asking for," Kong said. He had seen the equipment list. He had approved it himself, but he still looked worried. They reached the large doors of the council chamber. 2 security guards stood there. One was a Vrelian, a species that looked like giant insects with hard shells and multiple arms. The other was Solmec, covered in green scales with yellow eyes that blinked sideways. Both guards scanned Hannah and Kong with devices that glowed blue. The Vrelian guard looked at his scanner and tilted his head. "Ambassador Kong, Captain Kim, you may enter. The council is waiting." The doors opened with a soft hiss. Hannah took a deep breath and walked inside. The council chamber was enormous. The ceiling stretched high above, filled with lights that looked like stars. Seats arranged in a circle filled most of the room. Each seat held a representative from a different world. Hannah counted 47 different species. Some she recognized from her briefings. Others were completely new to her. In the center of the circle was a raised platform. That was where Hannah would give her demonstration. Force fields surrounded the platform. She could see the slight shimmer in the air that meant powerful shields were active. The shields could stop energy weapons, explosions, and even radiation. The Federation took safety very seriously. Hannah walked to the platform while Kong moved to the observation deck. Other human diplomats were already there, watching nervously. Lieutenant Yuna Park stood among them. Yuna was Hannah's partner for this mission. She would handle the technical explanations while Hannah showed the equipment. "Welcome, Captain Kim." The voice came from everywhere at once. Hannah looked up and saw Director Velm floating near the ceiling. Velm was a crystalline being, her body made of what looked like living glass. Different colors flowed through her form as she spoke. Blue meant she was calm and official. "The Council has gathered to witness Earth's military capabilities. We hope this demonstration will help us understand your species better." "Thank you, Director," Hannah said. She kept her voice steady and professional. A loud laugh came from one of the seats. Hannah turned and saw War Chief Thrix. He was massive, even for a Vrelian. His shell was darker than the guards outside, covered in scars from old battles. 4 arms crossed over his chest as he leaned back in his seat. "I hope this won't take long," Thrix said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "I have heard about human weapons. Primitive kinetic devices. Chemical propellants. Technology from thousands of years ago." He laughed again. "My soldiers wear armor that can stop plasma bolts and laser fire. What can your ancient weapons possibly do?" Several other council members made sounds that Hannah guessed were agreement or amusement. The Solmic delegates hissed softly. A group of tall, thin beings called Quiller shifted in their seats and whispered to each other. Hannah said nothing. She had been trained not to react to insults. Besides, Thrix would understand soon enough. Director Velm's colors shifted to purple, which meant she wanted attention. "War Chief Thrix, please allow Captain Kim to proceed. We are all here to learn." She turned her glowing form toward Hannah. "Captain, the Federation has provided this demonstration arena for your use. Our shields can withstand explosions equal to several of your nuclear weapons. We have medical teams standing by. Please show us what human soldiers carry into battle." Hannah nodded. She walked to the center of the platform and set her black bag down carefully. Her hand rested on the strap for just a moment. Before she could say a single word, every alarm in the station began to scream. Red lights flooded the chamber. The normal white illumination disappeared, replaced by flashing emergency signals. Automated voices spoke in dozens of languages at once. Hannah understood the English version. Extreme hazard detected. Chemical. Warfare protocols engaged. Explosive materials detected. Radioactive signature detected. Biological. Contamination possible. Heavy. Blast doors began sliding, closed over the exits. Additional shields activated around the platform, layer after layer of shimmering force fields. Security drones flew into the chamber from hidden panels. Their weapons charging with high-pitched whines, the council erupted into chaos. The Solmech delegates dove behind their seats. Several smaller species ran for the exits before the doors closed. The Quiller released something into the air that smelled like flowers mixed with fear. It made Hannah's eyes water. Thrix's armor plates flared outward in a defensive position. His forearms reached for weapons that weren't there. The council chamber was a peace zone, so no one carried weapons except the security drones. 3 species disappeared in flashes of light. They had teleported away. Abandoning the meeting entirely, Director Velm's crystalline body flashed through red, orange, and yellow, colors Hannah had learned meant extreme distress. Captain Kim. Velm's voice was no longer calm. What have you brought aboard this station? Hannah remained perfectly still. She kept her hands away from the bag, held up where everyone could see them. Her heart pounded, but her training kept her calm. She had expected some reaction, but not this much panic. Director Velm, Ambassador Kang's voice came through the communication system. He sounded much calmer than Velm. Please instruct your security forces to stand down. Captain Kim has brought exactly what the council requested. Nothing more, nothing less. Stand down? Velm's voice reached a frequency that made the observation windows crack. The sensors detect enough destructive potential to destroy several city blocks. Multiple banned substances. Chemical agents. Explosives. Radioactive materials. This violates Galactic Convention 7. More alarms joined the symphony of warning sounds. Hannah watched the security drones circle closer. Their weapons were now fully charged, aimed at her and her bag. She took a slow breath and spoke clearly. Director Velm, with all respect, Earth never signed Convention 7. We were not part of the Galactic Federation when those weapons were banned. The chamber fell silent except for the alarms. Every eye, sensor, and visual organ focused on Hannah. She kept her voice calm and professional. Would you like me to open the bag and begin the demonstration? Or should I explain what the sensors are detecting first? Thrix's voice cut through the silence. The war chief had recovered from his shock. This is a trick. A deception. No species carries such concentrated destructive power in standard infantry equipment. Hannah finally allowed herself a small, cold smile. War Chief Thrix, I haven't even shown you the weapons yet. She paused, letting that sink in. The station is reacting to the safety equipment in the outer pockets. Absolute silence fell over the council chamber. Even the Quiller stopped releasing their fear scent. Director. Velm's colors shifted through several shades that Hannah couldn't identify. Finally, Velm spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Explain yourself, Captain. Explain right now.